In the Indian spiritual tradition, there is a simple yet profound truth. You are not this mind. This statement, which may seem obvious, contains the entire key that opens the door to liberation. Nisargadatta Maharaj, a great Advaita Vedanta master of the 20th century, taught, "Realize yourself as pure knowing, not as what the knowing reflects." The seeker, when he understands and lives by this truth, will enter a completely different life. The life of the witness, where every movement of the mind is just like ripples on the boundless ocean of consciousness. So, what will life be like when you become a witness of the mind? Will the world around you change? Will suffering, anxiety, and sorrow still have the power to dominate? And how can we gradually realize this immortal truth in our daily lives? That is what we explore together today, through the light of Advaita philosophy, through the timeless teachings of Nisargadatta Maharaj, and through our own practical contemplation in this life. The mind, the wrong master. In modern life, man is almost completely identified with the mind. We often think, I think, therefore I am. But this is where the biggest misconception takes root. The mind is not our true nature, but only a borrowed tool from the universe. Nisargadatta Maharaj once pointed out, "The mind is a collection of memories, conditioned responses, accumulated fragments of the past. It is never you." The mind operates like a machine, always repeating old patterns, relying on memories to react, and rarely being truly creative or free. If you pay attention, you will see this truth. Thoughts come and go. One thought disappears, another arises. Emotions change from moment to moment, happiness, sadness, anger, love, all just like the wind blowing across the fields. The body changes every day, every second. So, what is constant? If you were really the mind, then when thinking ceases in deep sleep, you should disappear. But your presence remains. A silent life, a silent knowing remains, even though the mind is no longer functioning. This proves that you cannot be the mind. Maharaj emphasizes an immortal principle. What can be observed is not you. Thoughts are observed, emotions are observed, even the body is observed. That is, you are the pure, formless knowing that is always present behind every experience. The moment we understand this, a turning point occurs. Because from there, we cease to identify with the endless flows of the mind. We begin to touch a deeper level, the unchanging, eternal, pure presence, what Advaita Vedanta calls Atman, or pure awareness. This is the fundamental shift. From mistakenly thinking that we are the master of the mind, we realize that the mind is just a tool. And the real master is consciousness, which has never been bound by any conditions. Become a witness, enter freedom. When you begin to live as a witness, the mind no longer rules you. It still functions, still produces thoughts, emotions, plans, memories, but they are all like ripples on the surface of a lake. No longer capable of drowning you. This is true freedom. Not political, social, or economic freedom, but inner freedom, freedom from the slavery of the mind. Imagine. Before, when anger arose, you immediately identified with it. You reacted, you screamed, you even hurt others. You believed, I am this anger. But when you are a witness, you stand in a different place. You see clearly, this is the emotion of anger arising in my mind. It is not me. You are no longer swept away. You just observe, silently, letting the anger come and go, like a cloud passing through the sky. A miracle happens. Your inner sky remains clear, unclouded by the passing emotional clouds. In the state of witnessing, life becomes different. Joy comes, you enjoy it, but you are not attached. Sadness comes, you feel it, but you are not suffering. Thoughts come, you notice it, but you are not controlling it. You begin to live with an unconditional peace. It is a peace that does not depend on circumstances, does not depend on others, does not depend on whether things outside go your way or not. It is the absolute freedom of the soul. Maharaj once said, "When you know yourself as a witness, you will realize that the mind is just a servant. It is no longer your master." And in this reversal, liberation occurs. This is not an abstract philosophy, but an experience that can be lived in every moment of daily life. That freedom is something you can feel right now. Just turn around and stand in the witness position. What would life be like if you became a witness? One of the frequent questions asked by spiritual seekers to Nisargadatta Maharaj was, "If I am no longer this body and mind, if I am just a witness, how would my daily life be? Do I still love, act, work? Am I still responsible for my family, for society?" His answer was always simple yet full of wisdom. You still live, still act, still love. But all this happens from a space of clarity, freedom, no longer conditioned. What does this mean? When you live with your mind, your actions are often driven by hidden motives. Fear, ambition, the search for recognition, or the fear of loss. But when you live as a witness, all actions flow naturally. There is no tension, no calculation, no shadow of the ego. Imagine. A person who lives in the mind is like someone struggling in the middle of a river, being carried by the waves, sometimes rising, sometimes sinking, always living in anxiety. A person who has become a witness is like someone sitting on the riverbank, observing the flow, seeing everything passing by peacefully. They still see the water flowing, still hear the waves, but are no longer drowned. Living as a witness is living in freedom. You can cry, you can laugh, you can work, you can love, but all are experienced as the colors of life, without chains. Fear loses power. Greed dissolves, because you no longer feel that you are lacking. Anger has no root, because you have seen it as a passing cloud. And in that freedom, love becomes pure and expansive. It is no longer a love bound by the need to possess, control, or fear of loss. It becomes a love of presence, shining from within you, embracing everyone and everything, without asking for anything in return. When you are a witness, you are still living in the world, but your life has a different depth. You can sit with a friend and just be silent, but that silence is filled with healing energy. You can do your daily work, but that work has the breath of awareness. A life in the state of witnessing is not a life of separation from the world. It is a life of being fully in the world but not of the world. When the witness is enlightened, the total transformation of the self. When you truly live in the witness position, not only does the mind change, but the whole way you perceive the world is reborn. This is a silent transformation, an inner revolution that does not need to be loud but is powerful enough to transform the whole life. The self melts. You realize that the self that you have been protecting for so long is just an illusory structure, woven from memories, habits, beliefs, and fears. When the witness is enlightened, that small self gradually dissolves, giving way to a vast, limitless presence. You no longer have to live to prove, to fight, to gain recognition. The world becomes transparent. When you are still dominated by the mind, you see life through a distorted lens, the color of greed, anger, ignorance. But when you are a witness, you begin to see things as they are. A tree is just a tree, rain is just rain, a smile is just a smile. Everything becomes transparent, pure, untainted by subjective attachment. Life is loved unconditionally. When there is no longer a discriminating ego, love is no longer based on this is good for me, that is bad for me. You love because your nature is love. Everyone, everything, even a leaf, a gust of wind, becomes a mirror reflecting the endless love within you. That is the miracle of witnessing. You do not disappear, you do not become indifferent, but on the contrary, you become a clear channel for life to flow through you in all its pristine beauty. The secret of Nisargadatta Maharaj. What makes Nisargadatta Maharaj special is that he does not ask you to memorize scriptures, nor does he ask you to believe in any dogma. He was a small cigarette vendor on a street corner in Mumbai. The secret lies in the directness, simplicity, and uncomplicatedness of his teachings. Maharaj points straight to the source. You do not need to read too many books. Go back and observe yourself. Hold fast to the idea of I am. When you are established in that idea, everything else falls apart. The mantra I am that Maharaj gave to humanity is the key that opens the door to the witness. It is not I am a doctor, I am a father. I am a successful person, because all these designations are just the outer coat of the ego. I am is simply living presence, pure awareness, without any adjectives. In stopping at I am, something magical happens. You begin to realize that every mental state, every emotion, every life story is just waves rising in the ocean of I am. Joy, sadness, success, failure, all come and go. But the deep, silent foundation, you, never changes. This is Maharaj's secret. Do not seek the truth in a distant place, in a pile of knowledge. Do not run after mystical experiences or complex spiritual states. The truth is already here, in the realization that you are the witness, the consciousness that knows all that is happening. The secret is so simple that many people do not believe it. But that simplicity has infinite power. Once you return and rest in I am, all the shackles of the mind gradually dissolve. And you realize, you were never a slave, you were already free. Practice in daily life. The path to enlightenment is not only in quiet meditation, but also in the midst of everyday rhythms. Nisargadatta Maharaj reminds us that practice is not about doing something new, but about changing the way you are present in each moment. Observe without judgment. Whenever a thought arises, just see it, like watching a cloud drift across the sky. Don't label it as good or bad, should or should not. Just say to yourself, this is a thought. When an emotion arises, whether it is joy or deep sadness, recognize it as a wave rising in the ocean of consciousness. The wave may be strong, but it never harms the ocean. B. Return to the feeling of I am. In the midst of the many movements of life, just stop for a few seconds and ask softly, who is experiencing this? Who am I? You do not need to try to find an answer in words. Just realize the silent presence that quietly knows everything. In that stillness, you touch the source of yourself, I am. C. Remember that you are the sky, not the floating clouds. Life may be windy, the mind may be turbulent. But your nature is the vast sky, never damaged. The clouds may be thick, the storms may be howling, but the sky remains intact. When you remember that you are the sky, all changes are just a passing show. D. Be patient and persistent. The mind is used to dragging you along with its old habits. But each time you return to being a witness, that habit weakens a little. Like a drop of water that persistently falls on a stone, it eventually leaves a mark. One day, you realize that silence and freedom have become your natural state. No need to try anymore. The practical value of being a witness. Many people still think that enlightenment is only for saints or monks who have left the world. But Maharaj makes it clear, being a witness is not about leaving life, but about living more fully, more deeply, more freely in this very life. When work is stressful, you are no longer caught up in the pressure, but realize this is a state of tension going through the mind. This recognition creates a space of relaxation where wisdom can flourish. When you are offended, instead of reacting immediately with anger or hurt, you stop and observe the emotion that arises. You realize that it is just a passing wave. And from a place of stillness, you can choose to respond with clarity, without creating more suffering. When joy comes, you enjoy it, but do not cling to it. You know that joy is also just a passing state. From there, you love and live happily in freedom, no longer afraid of loss. Results of practice. Anxiety and fear gradually disappear, because you no longer identify yourself with the waves of the mind. Relationships become healthier, because you do not react from the small ego, but from the open space of love and understanding. You begin to touch a deep peace, a source of happiness that does not depend on external circumstances. This is the greatest treasure of being a witness, living in the world but no longer bound by it. Every ordinary moment becomes a door opening to the infinite. 12 quotes by Nisargadatta Maharaj. 1. Whatever you observe, the body, thoughts, emotions, is not you. You are the presence that knows them. 2. Hold fast to the idea I am. From there, all illusions will dissolve. 3. Don't trust the mind. It is only a storyteller, not the truth. 4. When you realize you are not the body, not the mind, you have found freedom. 5. All I say is to bring you back to the simple knowing, I am. 6. Consciousness has no boundaries. Only when you are one with the mind, boundaries appear. 7. You don't need to change the world, you just need to see that you are not the mind that judges the world. 8. Observe yourself silently. It is the door to infinity. 9. Truth is not something you can attain. It is what you already are, right now. 10. True freedom is not doing what you want, but no longer being a slave to the urges of the mind. 11. Live as a witness to all. In the witness, there is no suffering. 12. When you are in I am, the world will come and go, but you remain motionless, limitless, and at peace.